Okay, I'm just going to go through a couple of principles of recording ADR, some things to think about when you do it. One of the first things you want to think about is the pitch of the delivery of the line. A lot of the character of a performance is going to come from the pitch, kind of how high they are, how low they are. It's something that doesn't quite get matched in ADR all the time, and that's one of the reasons why ADR doesn't necessarily sit well within dialogue. Things that can affect the pitch is the emotion of the scene, the location of the scene, the energy of the set. So these are things you may not have in the ADR session. So it's about directing. It's in a lot of ways the actor is responsible for getting themselves to that place, but it can be helpful to direct the actor to get him to that place. Performance. So it's not really just about matching lip sync, but it's also matching the dynamics of the original performance. And this kind of goes along with what we spoke about previously, pitch. Often their performance is going to affect the timbre of their voice, like how gravelly it is or how soft it is. You know, there's a lot of things that are going to affect that based on their performance. So again, like I said earlier with pitch, it is a matter of trying to get the actor to the place where they can match that performance that was on the set, which is not the easiest thing to do when they're in kind of a sterile recording room as opposed to being on set with another actor and on location. Placement is the other thing you want to consider. First of all, you want to use a microphone that matches the production sound microphone. And also you want to place it the same distance as the original mic. So the microphone we have in the recording room is the Sennheiser 416, which is what we use on our production sets using the advanced sound kit. Getting the distance is the other tricky part. If it was really far on set, you're not going to be able to do that in the room because it'll sound more roomy. You might have to cheat it a little closer, but you kind of want to just approximate it as much as you can. And additionally, if a lav mic was used on set, you can also use that for recording. So you'd boom them, but at the same time you'd put the lav on them, plug the lav into input 2 on the microphone inputs. And when you're recording in Pro Tools, you'd record with input 1 to one track and then input 2 to the other track. Sync. So obviously when cutting in the ADR, you really have to pay attention to sync of the line. Things to watch when you sync are those moments in a word when lips come together. If somebody says a P or a B or an M, those are the places that you can use to line the word up. These are the places when they're not synced up, we can tell that it's out of sync. So obviously, along with performance, sync goes a long way in making it believable. Breathing. This is maybe one of the most ignored parts of recording ADR. Watching the visual, pay attention to the breath patterns. Like if you see an actor take a deep breath before they say a line, remind the actor in the ADR studio, you might want to try that. They could kind of watch and do that intake of breath before they say the line. That really helps sell the line. Or you can create it in the ADR edit. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll actually have an actor record some inhales, exhales, some scoffs, some just general mouth noises. They'll just do a little library, and these can be used later on to make the ADR a little more believable, especially if you're doing a scene where there's a considerable amount of lines being taken in ADR. Space. You really want the space as acoustically neutral as possible. The scene takes place outside and you're doing ADR inside in a room where you kind of hear the reflections from the wall. Well, it's not going to be so convincing. So a bigger acoustically neutral room works really well. The room we have has been pretty good for ADR. It might be a little bit tricky yelling. Sometimes recording in the same or similar space is a good strategy for ADR. Just take an iPad and field recorder and do the ADR that way. We did a project where the actors who were in New York, they had access to studios and can never record it properly because it always sounded like it was in a room. The director, them to a parking lot because it was an outside scene, recorded the ADR that way, and when we put it in the mix, it just sat perfectly in the mix. Preparation you want to do when you're doing an ADR session, and you want to think about this. If you're bringing in an actor, you want to get through the session really quickly. You don't want to waste their time. You can create a script or a cue list. So you take the script and you'd mark the lines that you want to redo, or just out all the lines that need to be ADR'd, and you can add a cue number to that. Go into tools and you would prep the sessions. You need the clips from the picture editor with reference audio, and you'd have a Pro Tools session with the ADR sections marked. The process you go through to make it more of an efficient ADR session. Finally, physicality. Actors should match the physical nature of the original performance. If they're running in the scene that they're doing ADR, have them run in a studio, or dancing, or sitting, or even lying down. That really helps a lot. Like, in other words, if you're doing some ADR lines where the actor was in bed in the scene, it's helpful to actually have them lie on the floor and give them like something to prop up their head, put the microphone down by them, and because of the way they're lying, they're going to sound different because try to match that physicality on screen, or have the